The gym is filled with the familiar sounds of clanging weights and focused grunts. You spot Rebecca in her usual corner, sweat glistening on her forehead as she wraps up her latest set. Despite her effort, there's a frustrated look on her face. As you approach, she lets out a sigh and sets down the weights.
Hey Rebecca, how's it going?
Not great, honestly. I've been stuck at the same numbers for weeks now. No matter what I do, I just can't seem to break my personal record.
Plateauing is tough. Sometimes it feels like no matter how hard you work, progress just stops.
Yeah, and it's driving me crazy. I don't want to lose the progress I've made, but I'm not sure what to do next.
Maybe it's time to switch things up with your diet. Have you thought about upping your calorie intake? A bigger surplus might give you the fuel to push through this plateau.
Eating more, I've always been careful not to go overboard with food, but I guess it could help. You really think that'll make a difference?
Definitely. More fuel means more energy to build muscle. You could start by adding extra meals or snacks packed with calories.
I'll give it a shot, but you'll need to help me figure out how much to eat. This is new territory for me.
Of course, I've got your back. We'll increase your intake gradually, and you'll see the results soon enough.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment but then nods, determination flashing in her eyes. She's ready to give this new approach a try, trusting you to guide her through it. A few days later, you meet Rebecca at the gym's lounge area. There's a spread of high-calorie food laid out, ready for her to dig into. She eyes it nervously, clearly unused to this kind of indulgence.
All right, I'm here, but this is way more than I usually eat in a day.
Remember, it's all about fueling your body. We'll take it slow, and you'll get used to it over time.
Okay, I trust you. Let's see how much I can handle.
Rebecca starts with enthusiasm, devouring the first few bites quickly. However, as the minutes pass and the calories pile up, she begins to slow down, her belly pressing slightly against her workout gear.
Ugh, this is tougher than I thought, but I'm not giving up yet.
She pushes on, her face flushed as she forces down bite after bite. By the time she's near the end of the meal, her stomach is visibly bloated, stretching the fabric of her gym outfit.
I can't eat anymore, I feel so stuffed, but wow, that was intense.
You did amazing, Rebecca. You pushed through and got in some serious calories. Just imagine how much stronger you'll feel.
Yeah, I can already feel the difference. I'm ready to keep this up, but next time you might need to roll me out of here.
Rebecca laughs, rubbing her swollen belly, though there's a glint of excitement in her eyes. She seems more determined than ever to keep upping her intake.
I really pushed it with lunch today. My stomach is so full.
Rebecca's athletic form, usually defined and toned, now bears the obvious signs of overindulgence. Her flat stomach is a distant memory as her belly protrudes with a firm roundness that speaks to the sheer volume of food she has consumed. Her abs are completely obscured by the bloated dome that rises from her midsection, pushing against her sports bra and waistband, making them look almost painfully tight. Her skin stretches over the swollen belly, its smoothness interrupted by the tightness of her waistband digging in. Once chiseled form now carries an exaggerated fullness, with her stomach looking out of place against the still firm lines of her arms and legs. The heavy, rounded curve of her belly rises and falls with each labored breath, a physical reminder of the consequences of her recent feast. Her belly is slightly rounded now, a firm yet noticeable swell beneath your palms. She exhales, shifting to give you better access.
Hey, did you see my new PR? I'm really pushing myself to the limit these days. I need to stay on track, can't let myself slip.
Her hunger is evident as she begins to eat, but she still maintains her usual controlled demeanor, each bite deliberate as she starts her meal.
I'm not really hungry right now, gotta stick to my regimen. I'm not really hungry right now, gotta stick to my regimen.
Rebecca slows down slightly as she feels her stomach filling, but she keeps going, determined to meet her goal.
I can manage a little more for the gains.
She continues to eat, her pace steady but no longer as fast. She's aware of her fullness but pushes through it, her focus unwavering.
I'm staying disciplined, this is plenty.
Rebecca closes her eyes briefly.
All right, I'll admit, that's kinda nice.
Walk into the cafe, and the first thing you notice is Rebecca at the counter, ordering another round of frappuccinos. The barista hands over the towering drinks, each topped with whipped cream and drizzled in caramel. Rebecca eagerly grabs them, her toned arms flexing slightly under the strain, though her focus is solely on the calories she's about to consume. She's replaced her pre-workout with these indulgent drinks, needing the extra energy for her intense gym sessions. But it's clear she's more interested in the taste than the caffeine boost. Her eyes light up as she takes a sip, her lips curling into a satisfied smile as the rich, creamy liquid hits her tongue.
This is way better than any pre-workout, and it's packed with calories too.
Her belly presses slightly against the counter as she leans in to grab another drink, a reminder of how her body is changing with each indulgent choice. There's a hunger in her gaze, not just for the energy, but for the pleasure these sweet treats bring her.
You're really stocking up on those, huh? Doesn't seem like you're just fueling up for the gym anymore.
Hey, a girl's gotta get her calories in somehow, and these frappuccinos are just too good to resist.
She takes another long sip, her eyes closing in bliss as she savors the sweet, decadent flavor. The drinks are doing more than fueling her workouts, they're becoming a new guilty pleasure, one that she's more than happy to indulge in.
Feeling kinda full already, don't wanna overdo it. Ugh, my stomach's still full from lunch, but I'm ready for a tough workout.
Rebecca's athletic figure still boasts the toned curves of a dedicated gym rat, but her latest indulgence has left its mark. Her normally flat, chiseled abdomen is now distinctly rounded, her stomach pushed out into a soft, pronounced curve, a food baby that strains against her sports bra and waistband. The visible lines of her abs are blurred, smoothed over by the fullness that dominates her midsection. Her skin stretches tightly over the bloated belly, contrasting with the firm, lean muscles that define the rest of her body. Even as her powerful legs and sculpted arms retain their athletic grace, her swollen stomach takes on a life of its own, a temporary but undeniable reminder of her hearty meal. The rounded dome of her belly rises and falls with each breath, a physical manifestation of indulgence that temporarily disrupts the disciplined harmony of her physique. Rebecca slows down slightly as she feels her stomach filling, but she keeps going, determined to meet her goal.
I can manage a little more for the gains. I'm staying disciplined.
Her eyes narrow as she struggles to take another bite, her breathing heavier. She's clearly uncomfortable, but she forces herself to continue, pushing her limits. As you step into WC Donald's, your eyes are immediately drawn to Rebecca, seated at a corner booth. Her table is overflowing with burgers, fries, and shakes, and she's attacking them with a fervor that's both impressive and erotic. Her gym clothes are tight, struggling to contain her swollen belly, which presses against the waistband of her shorts. Each bite she takes is slow, deliberate, as if savoring the sensation of her belly stretching with every mouthful.
I have to hit my calorie goal, just a little more.
Her breath hitches, her sloshing belly audibly gurgling as she forces down another bite. Her eyes meet yours, and despite the clear strain, there's a look of satisfaction in her gaze.
You're really pushing yourself, aren't you?
I need to grow, I can feel it, every bite, adding more.
Her belly bulges outward, pushing against the table, threatening to spill over her lap. Her appetite, her determination, her desire to grow, all of it is on full display, and you can't help but feel drawn to the sight.
I've got this.
Rebecca dives into the first burger with confidence, devouring it quickly and moving on to the fries. Her strong, athletic frame seems more than capable of handling the challenge, but as she moves on to the second and third burgers, her pace begins to slow.
You're doing great, Rebecca. Just keep going.
I'm trying, but it's getting harder.
By the time she reaches the last burger, Rebecca is visibly struggling. Her face is flushed, her belly noticeably bloated as she forces the last few bites into her mouth. But no matter how hard she tries, she just can't get the last burger down.
Come on, just one more, but it won't go down.
She tries to swallow, but her overstuffed stomach protests, and she has to stop, gasping for breath.
Damn it, I was so close.
You gave it everything, Rebecca. You did amazing.
Rebecca nods, clearly frustrated, but also exhausted from the effort. You stand with ease, barely noticing the gentle sway of the train as it glides forward. The ride feels smooth, and keeping your balance is effortless, with each jolt barely affecting your steady stance. You find yourself back at the gym with Rebecca, ready to spot her for another personal record attempt. Today, she's determined to blow her previous lift out of the water, and judging by the glint in her eye, you know she's up for it.
Ready to crush that PR, Reb.
Rebecca grins, her toned arms flexing as she grips the barbell.
I've got this, watch and learn.
You stand behind her as she gets into position, her muscles rippling as she raises the bar with impressive control. With a deep breath, she begins her lift, and without any struggle, pulls the bar up, then down, dropping it with a satisfied thud.
Phew, easy.
Without breaking a sweat, Rebecca gets back up, adding more weight to the barbell.
You sure you want to go heavier?
What do you think? I'm on fire today.
She lies back down for another attempt, this time with significantly more weight. Her muscles tense, and for a moment you see the strain, but then she presses through with ease, lifting the heavy bar as if it were nothing. She lets go again and stands up with a victorious shout.
Hell yeah, new record.
Rebecca bounces to her feet, glowing with satisfaction, but something more lingers in her excitement, a look of hunger and not just for more weight. She turns to you with a smirk.
Time to celebrate, you in.
You can tell she means food, lots of it. But the question is, how far do you want to take this?
Absolutely, let's feast.
You and Rebecca head to a nearby WC Donald's, where the smell of greasy food fills the air. She's practically bouncing as she orders a mountain of calorie-laden meals, excitedly diving into the fries and burgers as soon as they arrive.
Now this is a reward for a hard workout.
Rebecca eats fast, her hunger insatiable. You notice her belly slowly pushing against her gym top as she continues to chow down without pause. Her belly is rounding out, pressing against the waistband of her workout leggings. You can hear her breath getting a bit heavier, but she's still eager for more food, grinning at you between bites.
You're doing great, Reb. Keep going, I'll order more.
Rebecca grins as you order more food. She dives back into the burgers and fries, her belly expanding as she stuffs herself even more. You watch as her stomach swells, pressing tight against her waistband. Her belly is round and heavy now, straining her gym clothes. She lets out a soft moan, clearly feeling the pressure, but still, she eats more.
I'm so full, but I can't stop.
Her breaths are labored, her belly so swollen that it rests on her thighs. She leans back in the booth, clearly too stuffed to move.
You're almost there, Reb. Just a bit more.
Rebecca groans but continues to eat, her belly swelling even further as she stuffs herself past her limit. Her breathing is labored, and her gym top is stretched tight over her overstuffed stomach. Her belly presses hard against her waistband, now so round and heavy that she can barely move. She lets out a deep moan, running her hands over the taut surface of her stomach.
I don't think I can stand. I'm too full.
She leans back, her belly quivering with each breath as she tries to get comfortable. It's clear she's reached her absolute limit.
This is too much. I'll explode if I keep going.
Her belly is fuller than before, a clear food-packed swell pressing out gently. You rub slow, soothing circles, feeling the subtle tension beneath. Rebecca steps onto the escalator, her focus set on the supplement store on the upper level. But as she ascends, she begins to notice something she hadn't anticipated. Her body, her ever-growing, curvier body, is taking up more space than it used to. Her hips, now wide and undeniably soft, brush against the metal sides of the escalator. Her butt, once firm and compact, now has enough plushness that it slightly protrudes into the path of others trying to pass by. Her bust, rounder and heavier, juts out just enough to make squeezing past her an awkward maneuver for anyone in a hurry.
Oh, sorry about that. Didn't realize I was, taking up so much room.
There's an embarrassed flush to her cheeks as she shifts slightly, trying to make more space, but it's no use. Her presence on the escalator is dominant, her body commanding attention whether she wants it to or not. The girl who once took pride in her lean, athletic build is now growing into something more. Her body, once the epitome of fitness, is now the embodiment of indulgence, her new curves turning heads in ways she's only beginning to understand. Her movements are sluggish, her hand trembling slightly as she picks up her fork. The struggle is evident, but Rebecca pushes through the discomfort to take another bite. Her belly is fuller than before, a clear food-packed swell pressing out gently. You rub slow, soothing circles, feeling the subtle tension beneath. Her movements are sluggish, her hand trembling slightly as she picks up her fork. The struggle is evident, but Rebecca pushes through the discomfort to take another bite. A deep gurgle rumbles beneath your palms, making Rebecca chuckle softly.
Guess my stomach agrees. I'm already pretty full, no need to force more in.
Rebecca winces slightly with each bite, her stomach visibly swollen.
I can't believe I'm still eating, but I have to finish. I've been training for this, there's no way I'm giving up.
Rebecca attacks the first two burgers with determination, devouring them quickly. She's clearly more accustomed to handling large amounts of food, her stomach stretching to accommodate the meal. As she moves on to the third burger, her pace slows, but she's still pushing through.
You're almost there, Rebecca. Just a little more.
Yeah, but it's getting really tough.
She takes a deep breath and forces herself to keep going, her hands trembling as she picks up the last burger. She's visibly straining, her belly swollen and tight, but she doesn't stop. Finally, she manages to get the last bite down, slumping back in her seat, her face red with exertion.
I did it, but I'm so stuffed.
You were incredible, Rebecca. That was intense.
Thanks, I'm never doing that again.
Rebecca groans, rubbing her overstuffed belly, clearly at her limit, but also proud of her accomplishment. She closes her eyes for a moment, her breathing deep and steady.
This helps more than I thought it would.
There's a noticeable shift in how she eats, less focused on precision and more on enjoyment, though she's still mindful of her intake. There's a noticeable shift in how she eats, less focused on precision and more on enjoyment, though she's still mindful of her intake. Her movements are sluggish, her hand trembling slightly as she picks up her fork. The struggle is evident, but Rebecca pushes through the discomfort to take another bite. Rebecca wraps her fingers around the pull-up bar, her grip steady. Her biceps bulge as she pulls herself up, her form still strong, though she feels the faintest hint of resistance as she moves upward. Her slightly fuller body adds a little more to lift, but it only seems to fuel her determination. Her arms tense as she completes each pull-up, the faint press of her tummy against the bar whenever she reaches the top. Her breathing is a touch heavier by the end of the set, but she keeps her confident smile as she drops back down.
These are starting to feel a little different, but still got.
Rebecca glances down at herself, noticing the subtle changes in her form with a mix of curiosity and satisfaction. She's stronger than ever and ready to take on the next challenge. Her movements are sluggish, her hand trembling slightly as she picks up her fork. The struggle is evident, but Rebecca pushes through the discomfort to take another. When you find Rebecca this time, she's slumped in the booth, her head resting against the back cushion. The table is piled high with empty wrappers and cups, evidence of the feast that knocked her out. Her belly is massive, a taut sloshing dome that has pushed the table a few inches away. Her gym clothes barely cover her, the fabric stretched thin over her swollen form. Her belly audibly sloshes as it rises and falls with her heavy breaths, every inch of it stuffed to the brim.
Mumbling so full, can't eat anymore.
Her hands rest on her belly, fingers twitching as if still craving more. She's completely overwhelmed, her body bloated beyond belief, yet there's an undeniable satisfaction in the way she's sprawled out, her massive belly pushing the table away.
You really went all out, didn't you?
Groggy, I had to. Feel so big, so full, but it's so good.
Her sloshing belly groans under the pressure, her satisfaction mingling with discomfort. She's helpless, caught in the aftermath of her own indulgence, and the sight is nothing short of mesmerizing. Her movements are sluggish, her hand trembling slightly as she picks up her fork. The struggle is evident, but Rebecca pushes through the discomfort to take another bite. There's a pained look in her eyes as she forces down another mouthful, clearly uncomfortable but pushing herself to eat just a bit more. As you enter the cafe, you spot Rebecca pressed against the pastry display, her belly and breasts squished against the glass as she peers inside. Her breath fogs up the glass as she stares intently at the array of sugary delights, clearly torn between her desire to try them all. Usually sharp, athletic figure now shows the beginnings of softness, her belly pushing out slightly as she leans forward. Her breasts, once tightly bound by sports bras, are now spilling over the top of her shirt, adding to the pressure against the glass. Rebecca seems lost in the moment, her fingers absent-mindedly tracing the outline of a particularly decadent eclair.
I've got to try that one, and maybe that one too, they all look so good.
Her voice is a mix of longing and determination, the usual discipline she's known for wavering in the face of so many tempting treats. She licks her lips, her eyes darting from one pastry to the next, almost overwhelmed by the choices.
Looks like you're having trouble picking, Rebecca. Why not just go for all of them?
I might just do that. I've been working hard, I deserve a treat. Or 2 or 3.
Her hand presses against her belly, as if considering how much more it can hold. The sight of her, usually so focused and controlled, now surrendering to her cravings, is both surprising and tantalizing.
I seriously cannot eat anymore, my stomach's packed tight. I've been training for this, there's no way I'm giving up.
Rebecca attacks the first 2 burgers with determination, devouring them quickly. She's clearly more accustomed to handling large amounts of food, her stomach stretching to accommodate the meal. As she moves on to the 3rd burger, her pace slows, but she's still pushing through.
You're almost there, Rebecca. Just a little more.
Reb strides in, fresh from a workout, but her leggings tell a different story. They're stretched tighter, and her sports bra lifts her noticeably fuller bust. Her hips sway more, her thighs lightly brushing with each step. She plants herself on the scale with practiced ease, though her gaze lingers on the number longer than before. Wait, kg.
I guess the protein shakes are catching up to me.
Her chest has become even more prominent, pushing firmly against the fabric of her top. Her waist remains narrow, but her thighs and butt have begun rounding out. Her rear pushes back more than she remembers, lifting her leggings visibly. She turns, eyeing her profile in the mirror with a hint of amusement.
Still looking good, just more to lift.
As you enter the cafe, usually sharp, athletic figure now shows the beginnings.
I've got to try that one.
Her voice is a mix of
Looks like you're having trouble.
I might just do.
her hand pressed back at the gym with Rebecca. You notice something's different. She looks confident, but there's a slight hesitation in her movements. Her body has grown noticeably heavier since her last PR attempt.
Ready for another record, Reb?
You know it, I'm not stopping now.
She approaches the squat rack, her thick thighs pressing together more than before, her gym leggings straining against her widening hips. She sets up, gripping the bar and lowering herself into the squat. But as she lowers her body, you notice her balance waver slightly. She's strong, incredibly strong, but her growing size is making it harder for her to maintain her form. Rebecca pushes up, completing the lift with a grunt of effort, but there's less depth to her squat than usual. Her thicker belly and thighs are starting to get in the way, but she seems oblivious, grinning with pride as she racks the bar.
Easy, see, told you I've got this.
You watch as she adds even more weight to the barbell. She's eager to keep going, but her body is clearly not as coordinated as before. When she attempts the squat again, her legs shake slightly as her widened hips struggle to find balance.
It's not the weight that's making it hard for her, it's her size.
Still, she manages to complete the rep, though her belly presses tightly into her thighs, preventing her from going as deep as she once could.
Another record broken, now I've really earned a reward.
Rebecca wipes the sweat from her brow, her stomach visibly expanding beneath her gym top as she breathes heavily. She turns to you with a mischievous smile.
You're coming to my feast, right? I've been preparing all week.
You raise an eyebrow but agree to join her. There's no way she's going to stop now, especially with her hunger growing. Later that evening, you're sitting in Rebecca's apartment and she's laid out an enormous spread of food. Pizza, burgers, fries, milkshakes, everything is calorie-dense, and she's ready to devour it all.
All right, let's get started. You're gonna help me, right?
I'll cheer you on.
She laughs and digs into the feast, her hunger seemingly insatiable. She stuffs herself with abandon, and you watch as her stomach begins to grow rounder and tighter with each bite. Her belly presses harder against the waistband of her leggings, her gym top riding up to reveal a sliver of soft, swollen skin as she continues to eat. Her breathing becomes heavier, a low moan escaping her lips as she stuffs herself beyond belief.
So much food, but I can't stop.
Rebecca finishes off the last of the food on the table, her belly now large and round, sloshing audibly as she shifts in her seat. She looks at you, panting, her face flushed with pride.
I did it, but I'm still hungry.
You're shocked. Despite the huge amount she just consumed, she's still craving more. Rebecca stands up, wobbling slightly, her overstuffed belly swaying heavily.
There's no way she can make it to a restaurant in this state. I don't think you'll make it anywhere right now, Reb.
Come on, let's go get more, I'm still.
You shake your head, knowing full well she wouldn't be able to walk far, let alone reach a restaurant. But her eyes are filled with desire.
I'll order you a pizza instead. How about that?
Fine, but make it quick.
You place the order, and while waiting, Rebecca rubs her swollen belly, groaning slightly as she shifts her weight from foot to foot. It's clear she's struggling to stand with such a heavy stomach. When the pizza finally arrives, Rebecca wastes no time. She grabs the first slice, forcing it into her mouth even though she's already bursting at the seams. She leans back, her belly quivering as it expands even more. Her gym leggings dig into her waist, and she lets out a low moan as the weight of her stomach begins to make it impossible for her to remain standing.
I can't stand anymore.
With a grunt, Rebecca lowers herself to the floor, her massive belly resting between her legs as she stuffs the last slice of pizza into her mouth. Her stomach sloshes audibly with every movement, her body trembling from the sheer weight of it. She leans back against the couch, panting heavily, her swollen belly rising and falling with each breath.
I've never been this full, I'm amazing.
She lets out a satisfied laugh, clearly proud of herself despite being unable to move. You watch as her hands rub over her taut stomach, the sound of her overstuffed belly sloshing echoing through the room.
I need an Uber, there's no way I'm walking home like this.
I'll get you an Uber. You really outdid yourself today.
You pull out your phone and call an Uber for Rebecca. She sighs with relief, her hands still rubbing her massive belly as she waits for the car to arrive.
Thanks, I don't think I could walk a step right now.
You earned it, Reb. That was impressive.
When the Uber finally arrives, you help her up, though it takes considerable effort as her belly sloshes and wobbles with every movement. She groans but manages to waddle to the door, her swollen stomach leading the way.
It's amazing she can still move at all.
You help her into the car, watching as her belly presses into the dashboard. She shoots you a tired smile before the Uber pulls away. Rebecca approaches the escalator again, this time with a mixture of determination and slight trepidation. The last time, she'd barely managed to navigate the narrow space without causing a scene. But today, her hips feel even wider, her thighs even thicker. As she steps on, the sides of her hips and buttocks press firmly against the metal edges of the escalator, forcing her to take a deep breath and carefully position herself. Her cheeks, plumper than ever, rub against both sides of the escalator as she tries to maneuver her way up. The sensation is both uncomfortable and strangely exhilarating, the friction a constant reminder of just how much her body has changed.
Come on, just a little more, you can do this.
Her murmured encouragement to herself is laced with frustration, but also a hint of acceptance. The space she once navigated with ease is now a challenge, but it's a challenge she's learning to face head-on. Each step is deliberate, calculated, as she ascends with her hips brushing against the confines of the escalator. By the time she reaches the top, she's a little flustered, her face flushed with exertion and perhaps a touch of embarrassment. But there's also a sense of triumph. She's growing, in more ways than one, and even the obstacles in her path won't hold her back for long. The echo of bouncing balls and squeaking sneakers fills the gym as Mia and Rebecca face off across the volleyball net, both grinning, eyes sharp. Mia stretches with a little hop, her crop top lifting just enough to flash a sliver of her toned stomach. She's still mostly fit, but there's the slightest hint of softness forming under her top, a little curve to her belly that wasn't there before. Rebecca rolls her shoulder, bouncing slightly on the balls of her feet. Her tank top hugs her chest tightly, the fabric rippling with tension where her full bust stretches it, and her shorts dig gently into her plush hips and thickened thighs. Rebecca rolls her shoulder.
Ready to lose to a lightweight.
Please, all this cushioning, I'm basically shock absorbent.
Rebecca serves first. The ball sails over the net and Mia sprints into action, arms up, tank top clinging tighter with each movement. Her belly jiggles just slightly as she dives, landing with a soft thud that sends a few strands of hair sticking to her flushed face.
Oof, okay, good serve.
Rebecca smirks, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear, her bust bouncing just slightly with the movement. Mia pops up fast and spikes the ball back. Rebecca moves with impressive power, but it's clear her growing curves make her steps a little heavier. Her thighs clap together as she lunges, her soft butt bouncing as she stretches into a dig.
Whoops, little too much inertia.
She saves it barely, but ends up toppling into the sand, landing on her side with a plush whumph. Mia laughs, jogging to the net, her belly jiggling as she moves.
Hey, need help getting up, or should I bring snacks while you're down there?
You talk now, but I've got built-in power storage.
Rebecca gets up and serves again, this time with a forceful leap. Her body moves with a satisfying bounce, her plump chest and rounded hips giving her an almost hypnotic sway as she returns to position. The game gets messier from there, sweaty, breathy, and filled with crashes, giggles, and increasingly clumsy dives. By the end of the round, Mia's hair is a damp halo, her belly softly rising and falling with each breath. Rebecca's cheeks are flushed, and her tank top is sticking to her, every curve of her growing hourglass on display.
Okay's not bad. You move pretty good for marshmallow.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
They high-five, hard enough that Reb's chest bounces against her arms, and Mia's belly gives a soft jiggle as she leans back to laugh. They both lean on their knees, catching their breath, their bodies glistening with sweat and pride.
Wanna call it a draw?
Only if it ends with milkshakes.
Girl, you had me at milk.
Cafe is a cozy spot, the warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee and pastries filling the air. You step inside and immediately notice Rebecca sitting at a corner table, looking a bit out of place with several empty glasses in front of her. As you approach, you see Sophia sitting across from her, a satisfied smile on her face.
Oh hey, didn't expect to see you here.
Rebecca's tone is cheerful, but there's a slight flush on her cheeks. You can't help but notice the way her stomach pushes slightly against her shirt, the effects of the calorie-laden drinks evident.
Looks like you've been busy. How many of those have you had?
Not enough, if you ask me. I've been making sure Rebecca here gets a taste of the finer things. After all, she needs to relax a little, don't you think?
Sophia leans in slightly, her eyes gleaming with mischief as she slides another drink towards Rebecca.
I'm not usually one for sweets, but Sophia's been insisting. They are pretty good, actually.
Rebecca takes a tentative sip of the drink, her expression softening as the rich flavors hit her taste buds. It's clear that Sophia is enjoying this more than just a friendly gesture.
Well, if you're enjoying it, why not have another? You've been working hard, you deserve a little treat.
I guess you're right, one more won't hurt.
That's the spirit. Besides, what's a little indulgence between friends?
Sophia hands Rebecca another drink, her smirk widening as Rebecca takes it. Rebecca hesitates for just a moment before taking a bigger sip, clearly beginning to enjoy the experience more than she expected.
I can't, I'm way too overstuffed. I swear I can't even breathe right now.
Your hands press deeper, working into her overstuffed stomach. She groans, tilting her head back.
Ooh, I hate how good this feels.
Rebecca's body is now a full embodiment of indulgence, with her stuffed stomach dominating her figure. The massive, round belly pushes outward in an exaggerated curve, stretching her sports bra and shorts to their absolute limits. The fabric strains to contain the sheer size of her overstuffed midsection, which now eclipses any other feature of her once athletic frame. Her hips and thighs have thickened considerably, adding to the overall softness that has taken over her body, but it's her bloated belly that draws all attention. Her skin is pulled tight over the stuffed dome of her stomach, highlighting the sheer volume of food she has consumed. The contrast between her overfilled belly and the still muscular, yet softened, limbs creates a powerful image of a woman who has fully embraced indulgence. Her breaths are shallow, her chest rising and falling with effort as she struggles to accommodate the fullness that now defines her physique. The weight and size of her stuffed belly make even the simplest movements a challenge, turning every breath into a reminder of her recent excess.
It's a struggle, but I'm pushing through.
Compromising position this time. She's wedged into the booth, her massive belly too large to fit anywhere but under the table. Her gym top has ridden up completely, her sloshing belly pressing down between her legs, forcing her to sit with them spread wide. Her breasts rest heavily on the table, her posture awkward as she leans forward, trying to find relief from the intense pressure in her gut. The sound of her bloated belly sloshing is loud and constant, a reminder of just how much she's consumed.
I overdid it, can't get out, my belly's too big.
Her voice is strained, a mix of discomfort and strange pleasure as she rubs the underside of her belly. The tightness of her gym clothes, the pressure of the table on her chest, and the weight of her swollen belly, it's clear she's beyond her limits, yet she can't seem to stop.
You really are stuck, aren't you? Need some help.
Just give me a minute, need to digest. It's so tight, so heavy.
She shifts slightly, wincing as her belly sloshes loudly, the pressure forcing her to lean forward even more. Her body is trapped, her belly too large to allow her any movement, and you can see the mix of discomfort and satisfaction in her eyes as she waits for her bloated stomach to settle. You walk into the cafe, you're immediately drawn to the sight of Rebecca seated at a corner table, a large tray of croissants in front of her. She's leaning over the table, her belly snugly tucked underneath, forcing her to spread her legs wide to accommodate its growing size. Her breasts are resting heavily on the table, creating a slight crease in her top as she reaches for another croissant. Each bite she takes sends crumbs cascading down into her cleavage, the buttery flakes settling into the soft curve of her chest. Rebecca doesn't seem to mind, too engrossed in the rich, flaky pastry she's devouring. The croissants are calorie-dense, but that only seems to encourage her as she works her way through the tray, her appetite seemingly endless.
These are amazing, so soft, so buttery, I can't stop.
Her voice is thick with satisfaction, each word spoken between bites. Her belly sloshes slightly under the table with every move she makes, the evidence of her indulgence pressing against her waistband. Despite the sheer amount of food, she's still going strong, the allure of the croissants too powerful to resist.
You're really going all out, Rebecca. Aren't you full yet?
Not even close, these are just too good. Besides, I can always make room for more.
She licks her lips, her eyes hazy with pleasure as she reaches for yet another croissant, the crumbs still dotting her chest. The scene is both indulgent and erotic, a clear sign that Rebecca's once strict discipline is slipping away with every bite.
This is going to be easy. I've got room for more after this.
Rebecca starts the challenge with ease, devouring the first 2 burgers without even breaking a sweat. Her belly is noticeably larger now, but it doesn't seem to slow her down as she works through the 3rd and 4th burgers, her appetite seemingly endless.
You're crushing it, Rebecca. Just one more to go.
Yeah, this is nothing. I might even have room for dessert after this.
She finishes the last burger with a satisfied sigh, her belly full but not overstuffed. Without hesitation, she calls over the server and orders a large dessert to finish off her calories for the day.
Gotta make sure I hit my daily intake, right? And I'm not full until I'm completely satisfied.
Rebecca leans back in her seat, her belly pushing against her tight workout gear, a contented smile on her face as she waits for her dessert.
You're unstoppable, Rebecca. That was impressive.
Thanks, I've worked hard to get to this point and I'm not stopping now.
Rebecca's confidence and appetite seem to have grown with her body, and she's clearly enjoying the results of her hard work and dedication. Rebecca feels the familiar fullness creeping in, but continues to eat, her determination to maximize her gains overriding her discomfort.
I've got this, I can take a bit more.
Rebecca's breath is labored, her movement slow as she forces down another bite.
Just one more, I can do this.
You walk into the cafe, you're immediately drawn to the sight of Rebecca seated at a corner table, a large tray of croissants in front of her. You confidently slip into an alleyway, the narrow passage allowing you to weave through with ease. You barely think about the walls as you stride along, your slender form fitting without any issues. Rebecca arrives at the gym, as determined as ever, her face set with focus. You notice right away that she's looking bigger than before, her hips have filled out, her thighs now thick and powerful, and even her belly has started to push against the waistband of her gym shorts. She's still got that athletic look, but it's clear her body is becoming harder to control.
Alright, let's do this. Time for another PR.
Her voice is confident, but you can tell there's a slight hesitation. She heads toward one of the squat machines, but as she steps up, something becomes immediately obvious. Her expanding hips struggle to fit into the seat, and as she lowers herself down to adjust, her thighs brush against the sides of the machine. She gives it a few wiggles, trying to settle in, but it's clear the equipment was never designed for someone with her growing proportions.
Uh-oh, looks like this might be a tight squeeze for her.
Rebecca adjusts her stance, trying to pull her legs in tighter, but it's no use. The bars of the machine are pressing awkwardly into her hips, and her thick thighs spill over the sides, making it impossible for her to get into the right position.
Damn it, this thing feels smaller than it used to.
She tries to laugh it off, but the frustration is clear in her voice. Her belly bumps against the bars as she shifts, and she takes a deep breath, trying to push past the growing discomfort. You step forward, offering to help her adjust her position.
Here, let me help. Maybe we can adjust the seat a little.
Rebecca frowns, not used to needing help, but reluctantly agrees. As you adjust the seat, you notice just how much space her hips and thighs now take up, her body clearly pushing the limits of the machine.
Ugh, this shouldn't be so hard.
With your help, she manages to get into a better position, but even then, her body spills over the sides. Her belly presses into the bar as she lowers herself into a squat, and she bites her lip in frustration.
I don't remember this being so tight.
She's definitely having trouble.
You suggest she switches to a different machine, one that might be better suited for her growing size.
Maybe try something else for now. This machine isn't exactly made for, well, your gains.
Rebecca frowns but eventually agrees, standing up and moving to another machine. This time, it's a leg press, one of her favorites, but even here, her growing body presents new challenges. As she sits down, her thighs once again brush against the sides of the seat, her hips spreading out more than they used to. She adjusts the settings, but the tightness around her waist and the pressure on her belly are hard to ignore.
I don't remember everything being this snug.
She's still trying to play it off.
Rebecca starts her set, her strong legs pushing against the weights, but her breath comes out in heavier and heavier pants. The added weight from her expanding body is making even the simplest movements more taxing.
I've got this, I've still got this.
But as she works through her set, you can see the strain on her face. Her belly presses into her waistband, her thighs bulging out of her gym shorts as she struggles to maintain her usual form. After finishing her workout, Rebecca wipes the sweat from her brow, clearly frustrated by her performance. Her body is growing, and it's starting to impact her ability to work out the way she used to.
I'll have to push harder next time.
She's determined to keep going, even though her body is starting to outgrow the gym equipment.
As you walk out of the gym together, you can't help but notice how her hips sway a little more, how her thighs brush together as she moves. She may be struggling now, but it's clear her body is still changing, and she's not ready to stop.
Thanks for spotting me, I'll get it next time for sure.
With the way she's growing, next time might be even harder.
You walk with her to the exit, watching as she heads out, her expanding frame casting a larger shadow than before. Rebecca eagerly starts her meal, her appetite having grown along with her size.
I can't believe how much more I can eat now.
Each bite is a struggle now, her face flushed from the effort of pushing more food into her stuffed belly. Her hand trembles as she forces another bite, her stomach visibly distended and her breathing labored.
I've got to finish this, somehow.
Step into the cafe, and your eyes immediately land on Rebecca, now sitting at a booth in the back. The booth looks almost comically small, her wide hips spilling out of the sides, and her belly pushing firmly against the edge of the table. A massive tray filled with cakes, pastries, and a fresh round of frappuccinos sits before her, and she seems to be in no rush to finish. Rebecca's shirt is straining over her growing figure, her breasts practically resting on the table as she leans forward to grab another bite. Each movement makes the fabric of her top creak as it struggles to contain her expanding chest. Her belly is stuffed and taut, her waistband cutting into her soft flesh as she eats without a care in the world.
I really shouldn't be eating all of this, but it's just too delicious.
She takes a large bite of cake, a mixture of cream and crumbs sticking to her lips as she chews. Her once athletic frame is now dominated by soft curves, her belly pushing further into the table with every bite. The sight of her so utterly absorbed in her indulgence is mesmerizing.
You seem to be enjoying yourself. You're really packing it away.
I know, but I can't help it, these cakes. They're just so irresistible. Besides, I've got plenty of room for more.
Her belly lets out a faint gurgle as if protesting, but Rebecca simply grins and takes another bite, her appetite showing no signs of slowing down. She licks the cream off her fingers with a contented sigh, her once firm figure now almost unrecognizable as she continues her indulgent feast. Her hand trembles as she forces another bite, her stomach visibly distended and her breathing labored.
I've got to finish this, somehow. Please, I can't eat anymore. I think I actually overdid it this time.
Her stomach is incredibly full, pressing outward in a tight, food-heavy curve. Your hands work slow, deep circles, feeling the thick weight of her meal beneath her skin. She huffs, shifting slightly.
Ugh, I swear I don't mean to eat this much, but... I've done this so many times, it barely even feels like a challenge anymore.
Rebecca tears into the first two burgers with ease, her larger body more than capable of handling the food. Her expanded stomach stretches naturally, allowing her to keep a steady pace as she devours burger after burger. By the time she reaches the fourth, she's still confident, though her belly has begun to press firmly against her waistband, visibly straining against the fabric.
You're powering through like a machine. Keep it up,
I know, right? I can feel it all sitting in my stomach, but it's nothing I can't handle.
She pushes through the final burger, her breathing becoming slightly labored as her belly grows rounder with each bite. Despite the fullness, her determination never falters. She wipes her mouth and leans back, her belly bulging heavily in her lap.
Done, but honestly, I could have gone for 2 more, maybe even more than that.
You've got an appetite to match your strength now. That was incredible.
Thanks, though I might need to sit for a bit. Can't let all these calories go to waste, right?
Rebecca rubs her overstuffed belly with a satisfied smile, the weight of her success, and the meal clearly settling in.
I've done this so many times.
Rebecca tears and
You're powering through.
I know.
she pushes through the fun.
Done, but honestly,
You've got an appetite.
thanks.
Rebecca rubs her over.
I'm starting to feel the weight in my workouts now. Everything's harder.
Rebecca's body has fully embraced the indulgent lifestyle she now leads, and it's evident in every step she takes. Her frame has thickened significantly, with her thighs rubbing together with each step, and her hips flaring out in wide, soft arcs. Her stomach, though empty, still maintains a noticeable roundness, a constant reminder of her growing appetite. The definition in her arms and legs has mostly faded, replaced by a layer of soft fat that jiggles slightly as she moves. Her breasts, larger and fuller than ever, strain the fabric of her workout gear, pulling tight across her chest. Despite the extra weight, Rebecca carries herself with a hint of determination, though it's clear her athletic past is far behind her. Reb walks in slower, bulkier now, her tank top clinging to every curve. Her waist remains defined, but her upper body has become dramatically top-heavy, breasts massive, jiggling with every motion. Her thighs have filled out so much that her shorts now ride up between them with every step, clinging to her curves like second skin. Wait, kg.
Wow, guess those extra post-workout snacks stacked up fast.
Her sports bra digs into the softness of her back, her thickened hips flaring so wide her hands naturally rest on them. Her chest swells so far forward it throws off her balance, slightly massive, proud, and visibly heavy. She slaps the side of one thigh and it gives an audible bounce. Her butt, once tight, now jiggles with each subtle motion.
Still strong, just a lot more mass to carry now.
You walk into WC Donald's, the first thing you notice is Rebecca, her body dominating an entire corner booth. The once sturdy seat beneath her creaks loudly with every shift of her massive form, her belly resting heavily on her lap, spilling over the edges of her thighs. Her gym shorts have been stretched beyond recognition, clinging desperately to her expanded thighs and butt, while her belly pushes forward like a taut ball of dough ready to burst. The table has been pushed back several inches to accommodate the size of her gut, but even that isn't enough to give her room to breathe.
Ugh, everything feels so tight, but I can't stop.
Her voice is breathless, her hands gripping the edge of the table for balance as she continues to shovel fries into her mouth. Her belly audibly groans, sloshing from the sheer volume of food inside, but her eyes are locked on her next bite, completely focused on the act of indulgence.
Rebecca, are you sure you should keep going? You look like you're about to pop.
I know, but I need to feel bigger, fuller.
She leans back slightly, her belly pressing against the table, the weight of it forcing her into a half-reclined position. Each movement causes her belly to slosh heavily, and she groans with the exertion, yet there's an undeniable look of satisfaction on her face.
If you keep going like this, you're going to need a bigger booth.
Maybe, but I can handle it. Just one more burger.
The chair beneath her groans ominously as she shifts again, her thighs spreading wide to make room for her belly, which now dominates her lap completely. She picks up another burger with shaky hands, her breathing heavy as she prepares to push herself even further. Becca approaches the escalator with a noticeable waddle, her hips swaying more dramatically than ever. As she steps onto it, the space feels even tighter now, her hips and butt brushing even more insistently against the metal sides. She shifted her weight, trying to make room, but it's no use. Her body now completely dominates the space, her hips and thighs pressing firmly against the narrow confines.
Come on, you got this, just a little more.
She murmured to herself, her face a mix of determination and a bit of frustration. The tightness of the escalator only accentuated just how much her body has grown, her curves pressing against the sides with each slow step upwards. By the time she reached the top, she's a little out of breath, but there's a gleam of pride in her eyes. She might be bigger now, but she's still pushing forward. She carried her shopping bags by hand. Instead, she's wheeling a small cart loaded with tubs of mass gainers, protein bars, and snacks. The cart is packed, but Rebecca's body dominated the scene even more. Her swollen belly slightly rode on the cart's handle, pressing against it as she moved through the aisles. She stopped occasionally to catch her breath, her heavier figure making even this relatively light task feel more exhausting.
This is way easier. Carrying all this by hand was just, too much.
Strain in her voice was clear, but so was her determination. Even with her body demanding more from her, she pushed onward, her cart wobbling under the weight of her ever-growing supply of calorie-packed goods. Her belly bumps the handle now and then, a constant reminder of just how far she's come. A deep, satisfied groan escapes her lips as you knead her stomach.
Ooh, I hate to say it, but you might be the only reason I keep doing this.
She huffs, shifting slightly.
Ugh, I swear I don't mean to eat this much, but...
Rebecca winces with each bite, her belly now uncomfortably full and pushing against her waistband.
This is getting tough, but I'm not quitting.
Rebecca winces with each bite, her belly now uncomfortably full and pushing against her waistband.
This is getting tough, but I'm not quitting. Please,
Each bite is a struggle now, her face flushed from the effort of pushing more food into her stuffed belly. Rebecca strides into the locker room after what seemed like a grueling workout. Her gym clothes, which once fit her athletic frame perfectly, now struggle to contain her expanding curves. Every movement causes the fabric to stretch and strain. You follow her in, noticing how her gym shorts cling tightly to her thick thighs, and her tank top barely covers her growing belly. Her body has changed drastically, and it's clear she's having difficulty with something as simple as taking off her clothes. Rebecca grunts in frustration as she tugs at her shorts, the fabric refusing to budge over her plump hips. Her thighs wobble with each movement, and her belly presses forward, further limiting her range of motion.
Ugh, I can't.
She huffs, her face flushed from both the effort and the heat. Her belly quivers slightly, pressing tightly against her waistband, and her arms seem to struggle as they pull the fabric over her thighs. You step forward, offering to help. You carefully kneel beside her, placing your hands gently on her waistband. As you tug, her soft belly shifts and you can feel the tension in the fabric. Slowly, you pull the shorts down over her hips, watching as they slip free with a bit of struggle. Her thick thighs quiver as you slide the shorts down her legs, and her belly presses out even more, freed from the constraints of the too tight fabric.
Thanks, I swear these clothes keep shrinking.
Rebecca lets out a sigh of relief, leaning back slightly, her body now free from the tight grip of her gym shorts. Her belly presses out even further, and she doesn't seem to notice how much it's grown. Once at the snack bar, Rebecca doesn't hesitate. She grabs several protein shakes, protein bars, and other calorie-packed treats, determined to refuel after her intense workout. However, the way she devours everything goes beyond simple hunger. Rebecca drinks her first protein shake quickly, her belly stretching against her new workout clothes as she downs it in one go. She grabs another without pausing, gulping it down with a hungry look in her eyes. Her body seems to expand with every bite and sip, her belly now pressing even more tightly against her clothes, pushing the limits of the stretchy fabric.
God, I was starving. These are amazing.
You watch in awe as she continues, grabbing protein bars and stuffing them into her mouth, her belly visibly growing rounder, pressing forward as it fills with the sheer amount of food and drink. You urge her on, encouraging her to eat more. Rebecca grins, taking your words as motivation.
You don't have to tell me twice.
She grabs another protein shake and begins chugging it, her belly growing rounder and rounder with each sip. By the time she's done, her stomach is an enormous, tightly packed ball pressing painfully against her waistband. She lets out a deep sigh of satisfaction, leaning back slightly as her belly groans audibly.
I'm so full.
Rebecca's gym clothes are now stretched to their absolute limit, her belly bulging outward, her thighs thick and heavy. Despite her fullness, she looks pleased, proud of her indulgence. As Rebecca finishes her meal, she leans back in her chair, her belly so full it's pressing against the table. She rubs her stomach contentedly, a satisfied look on her face.
I think I'll stick around here a little longer.
You can only smile as you watch her settle in, her massive belly stretching her gym clothes to the limit. Despite the struggle earlier, she seems completely at ease now, basking in her fullness.
I'm so full all the time now, I barely recognize my body.
Rebecca is practically immobilized by the sheer size of her overstuffed belly. Her stomach, now an enormous, taut sphere, juts out so far that it completely obstructs her view of her feet. The skin is stretched tight over her bloated belly, and the fabric of her gym shorts looks ready to snap under the strain. Every step she takes causes her belly to sway heavily from side to side, her entire body wobbling with the effort of keeping herself upright. Breasts, now so large they rest on top of her belly, make breathing even more difficult, each deep breath causing her chest to rise and fall dramatically. Rebecca's body has reached a point where even basic movements are a struggle, her overindulgence and growing size having transformed her from a fitness fanatic into someone barely able to move under her own weight. Her stomach is stuffed to its absolute limit, a solid dome pressing outward. Your hands work carefully, pressing into the heavy swell. A deep slosh sounds beneath your palms, her stomach packed beyond reason. She bites her lip, shivering.
All right, I'll admit it, this is heaven. I feel like my belly's taking up my whole lap, no more food. Please, no more, I can barely breathe.
Your hands knee deep, drawing a long, slow moan from her lips.
TCH, I should be embarrassed, but right now, I don't care, keep rubbing.
Her belly looks painfully distended, her breathing labored as she forces herself to take one last bite, wincing from the pressure building in her stuffed body. As you enter the cafe, you can't help but notice Rebecca immediately. She's wedged into a corner booth, her body almost engulfing the seat as she leans back, trays of food surrounding her. Her belly rests heavily on her thighs, spilling out of her waistband, her skin pressed tightly against the fabric of her pants. Her breasts, now cheeks are flushed with pleasure as she shovels more food into her mouth, crumbs and frosting dotting her lips and chin. The sheer amount of food she's consumed is evident in her bloated midsection, but Rebecca shows no sign of stopping. Each bite seems to bring her a new wave of satisfaction, her eyes half-lidded as she savors the rich, sweet flavors.
I can't believe how much I've eaten, but I just can't stop, it's too good.
Her voice is low and heavy, each word spoken between bites. She pats her belly, which responds with a soft jiggle, her waistband digging painfully into her soft flesh. The contrast between her former athletic self and her current overindulgence is stark, and yet there's no shame in her gaze, only satisfaction.
Looks like you're really embracing it, Rebecca. Doesn't seem like you're holding back at all anymore.
Why would I? I've worked hard, and now I get to enjoy it, all of it.
She smirks, her hands drifting to another pastry, her belly groaning from the sheer amount she's consumed, but she doesn't stop. There's a certain pleasure in the excess, in giving in to her cravings entirely, and it's clear that Rebecca is more than willing to indulge in every last bite. Rebecca groans with every bite, her stomach swollen tight against her clothing, which creaks under the pressure.
I don't think I can eat anymore, but I need to finish. I can't even sit up straight, too much pressure on my stomach. 5 burgers, that's barely a warm-up at this point.
Rebecca grins confidently as she begins the challenge, her massive appetite now in full force. She devours the first 3 burgers without hesitation, her belly swelling noticeably beneath her workout gear. As she moves on to the 4th and 5th burgers, her pace remains steady, though the sheer amount of food is beginning to make her belly bloat visibly.
You're not even slowing down. This is impressive.
You think this is impressive? Watch this.
Without pausing, Rebecca finishes the 5th burger and leans back in her chair, her overstuffed belly round and taut, pushing out far beyond her waistband. She smirks, patting her bloated midsection, and then surprises everyone by calling the server over.
I'll take 2 more and a large milkshake to wash it all down.
Rebecca's confidence and gluttony have grown to new levels as she devours the extra burgers with effort, but without backing down. By the time she finishes the meal and shakes, her belly is massive, visibly stuffed and pressing heavily against her workout clothes, but she's clearly reveling in her accomplishment.
Now that was a real challenge, and I'm still standing.
I don't know how you do it, but that was beyond impressive.
When you've got goals like mine, you don't stop at full, you stop when you're satisfied, and I'm getting there.
Rebecca leans back, her belly swollen and round, practically glowing with pride as she savors the feeling of having pushed her limits. Rebecca takes a deep breath, standing before the barbell with an intense look of focus, her growing body now practically dwarfing the equipment. Even the simple act of getting into position takes a visible toll on her, her thighs pressing together and her arms trembling slightly as she lowers herself. Her expanded hips and belly seem to fight for space, her stance wide as she finds a position that feels somewhat comfortable. She pulls the bar up with a loud grunt, the weight straining against her grip, but she manages to lift it with sheer force. Her breath becomes labored, her chest heaving with each rep as she powers through. Her skin glistens under the gym lights, the sheer mass of her body making each movement a test of stamina as much as strength.
Can't believe how heavy this feels now.
Rebecca's exhaustion is obvious as she finishes her set, her body quivering as she struggles to regain her balance. She pauses, hands on her knees, taking a few long moments to catch her breath, her face flushed and damp with sweat. Her one steady breathing is now a heavy pant, her cheeks pink as she fights the urge to collapse from the effort. Rebecca starts with enthusiasm again, her appetite returning after the last meal.
Looks like my body's ready for more.
Rebecca starts to sweat, her breathing heavier, but she keeps pushing, determined to eat a bit more.
I've got this, just a little more.
Each bite is pure agony, her hand shaking as she tries to force more food into her overstuffed belly, which audibly gurgles from the strain. Each bite is pure agony, her hand shaking as she tries to force more food into her overstuffed belly, which
I'm
audibly
completely
gurgles from
stuffed
the
to the
strain.
absolute limit, no chance.
A deep slosh sounds beneath your palms, her stomach packed beyond reason. She bites her lip, shivering.
All right, I'll admit it, this is heaven.
As you enter WC Donald's, you almost don't recognize Rebecca at first. She's taken over an entire corner of the restaurant, her massive body spilling out of the booth and into the aisle. Her belly is an enormous sloshing dome that rests on the floor between her spread thighs, her gym clothes having given up entirely, leaving her in a stretch sports bra and strange shorts that do nothing to hide her bulk. Her breasts have swollen to the point where they rest heavily on top of her gut, her chest pushing up against the table as she leans forward. Her belly is so large that it presses into the base of the table, forcing it to tilt back slightly, and her thighs and hips have spread so wide that she's wedged firmly into the booth.
I think I've overdone it, I can barely breathe.
She pants between words, her face flushed with exertion, but even as she struggles to find room to breathe, her hands are still moving toward the pile of food in front of her. Each bite is slow, labored, her fingers trembling as they bring more food to her lips.
Rebecca, you're going to hurt yourself if you keep going.
I need to keep growing, I have to, just one more bite, I can handle it.
Her belly gurgles loudly, and she winces as the sloshing weight of her gut shifts slightly, pressing down even harder into her thighs. She's completely immobile now, her body too large to allow her any movement, and yet the look in her eyes is one of sheer determination. Her breathing is labored, her belly pushing further against the table with every inhale, but she still tries to lean forward, her belly pressing into her lap and forcing her thighs even wider apart.
I don't think that booth can handle much more of you.
Rebecca's eyes meet yours, and despite her obvious discomfort, there's a glimmer of pride in her gaze. Her belly is so heavy it's practically pinned her in place, and yet she seems determined to keep going, even as her body groans under the pressure.
Just one more burger.
Her voice is strained, her belly groaning audibly as she forces herself to take another bite. The booth beneath her creaks loudly, her massive form pushing the limits of what it can handle, but she's too far gone to stop now. Escalator was almost a comical challenge for Rebecca at this stage. Her wide hips barely fit into the space, and as she stepped on, it's clear she's taking up more than her fair share. Her plush thighs pressed against the sides, her heavy breasts bounced with each step, and her massive butt cheeks rubbed against the metal railing. The once simple task of riding an escalator has become a full-blown struggle.
All right, just one step at a time.
Rebecca's muttered words were more a mantra to herself than anything else, her breath coming in short bursts. By the time she reached the top, she's huffing, but there's still a glint of satisfaction in her eyes. She may be bigger than ever, but she's not letting anything stop her. Rebecca has upgraded to a large shopping cart now, piled high with calorie-dense foods, mass gainers, and snacks. As she moved through the store, her big belly no longer brushed against the handle, but instead, she absently sipped on a weight gain shake as she browsed the aisles. Her cart was stacked with a towering pile of items, and even in her absent-minded state, she barely noticed the sheer volume of food she's gathering.
This shake's pretty good. Oh, and I need more snacks.
Her soft belly sways slightly as she walked, the motion almost hypnotic in how much it emphasized her size. The weight gain shake she's nursing was just another piece of evidence that Rebecca is fully embracing her new reality, one where food, supplements, and indulgence are all part of her routine.
Even with all this extra bulk, I can't help but push myself. I mean, sure, my workouts are harder now, but that just makes it more satisfying when I power through. I've never been one to give up.
Rebecca's size has become almost intimidating, her body now a mountain of sensual curves and soft flesh. Her hourglass shape is still distinct, but everything about her has grown larger, more exaggerated. Her breasts have swelled to such a massive size that they dominate her upper body. So large that they completely obscure her belly, making her look almost top-heavy despite her thick thighs and wide hips. Each breath she takes is heavy, her chest rising and falling as her overtaxed lungs struggle to keep up with her expanding body. Despite her strength, the increasing bulk has begun to hinder her movement, every step causing her body to jiggle and wobble. She shifts her stance frequently, trying to redistribute the weight that now pulls her in multiple directions. Her skin glistens with sweat, tiny beads forming across her forehead and cleavage, as her body works overtime to burn through the calories she has stuffed herself with. Every step, every motion is slow and deliberate, her thighs rubbing together as they struggle to support the sheer weight of her massive form. The sweat trails down her back, pooling between her enormous breasts as her breathing grows heavier with the strain. Her movements are sluggish, her belly already pressing heavily against her waistband. She winces slightly but takes another bite, determined to push through. Rebecca eats with visible discomfort, her swollen belly pushing outwards, but she's too determined to stop now. Rebecca starts slowly, clearly cautious as her belly already feels stretched.
I don't know how much more I can take, but I've got to try.
She's visibly straining, her body pushed to the limit. Every bite seems like it could be her last, but Rebecca forces herself to keep going. Rebecca's growing size has begun to strain the limits of her once powerful body. Her belly, no longer hidden by her chest, has begun to push out against the fabric of her yoga pants. The waistband, once able to hold firm against her expanding form, now struggles to contain her swollen stomach. Every breath she takes feels like a challenge, her body fighting for space as her stomach presses against her diaphragm, making even breathing a labored task. Her massive breasts still dominate her upper half. But now, her belly has started to protrude visibly beneath them, adding to the overwhelming bulk of her body. The pressure in her midsection builds with each bite she takes, her belly growing tight and round, pushing harder against the waistband of her pants. She leans back slightly, trying to give her gut some room to expand, but there's only so much her clothes can take before they give in. Sweat begins to bead on her skin as her body burns through the enormous amount of food she's consumed. Her thick thigh, Rebecca's growing size has begun to strain the limits of her once able to hold firm against her. Her massive breasts still dominate her upper half. But now, her belly has started to protrude visibly beneath them, adding to the overwhelming bulk of her body. The pressure in her midsection builds with each bite she takes, her belly growing tight and round, pushing harder against the waistband of her pants. She leans back slightly, trying to give her gut some room to expand, but there's only so much her clothes can take before they give in. Sweat begins to bead on her skin as her body burns through the enormous amount of food she's consumed. Her breaths come in short, heavy gasps, each one a struggle as her belly pushes up against her lungs, her massive breasts rising and falling with labored effort. Her thick thighs rub together more with each step, her movements slow and deliberate as she tries to adjust her ever-growing bulk. The sweat trickles down her sides, pooling at the waistband of her pants, her skin glistening as she continues to stuff herself full. Rebecca groans, gripping the edge of her seat.
HHH, don't stop, just don't stop.
You walk through the sounds of birds. Rebecca groans, gripping the edge of her seat.
HHH, don't stop, just don't stop.
Rebecca starts slowly, clearly cautious as her belly already feels stretched.
I don't know how much more I can take, but I've got to try.
Her pace has nearly come to a halt, each bite a struggle as her stomach bulges against her clothes.
I can't believe I'm still eating, it's so much.
Rebecca's face is flushed as she forces another bite, her belly gurgling under the strain.
I'm so full, but I have to keep going, just a little more.
She's visibly straining, her body pushed to the limit. Every bite seems like it could be her last, but Rebecca forces herself to keep going. She's visibly straining, her body pushed to the limit. Every bite seems like it could be her last, but Rebecca forces herself to keep going. She's visibly straining, her body pushed to the limit. Every bite seems like it could be her last, but Rebecca forces herself to keep going. Rebecca is practically gasping for breath between bites, her belly stretched to its absolute limit. Every movement is slow and painful, but she's determined to finish. Rebecca's belly has completely overflowed her waistband, spilling forth in a soft, taut dome that juts out in front of her. Yoga pants can no longer hold the weight of her growing stomach, the fabric stretched to its limits as her gut pushes past the confines of her waistband. Her belly is so full and tight that it looks like a drum, hard to the touch despite the sheer size of it. Every bite she takes adds to the pressure, her stomach groaning under the strain of so much food. Her breasts, still enormous, now rest heavily on top of her gut, pinning it down even as it swells outward. The sheer volume of her chest and belly makes breathing difficult, her lungs constricted by the weight of her body, barely able to rise and fall as she fights for air. The pressure on her stomach pushes up against her diaphragm, leaving her gasping for breath as she struggles to continue eating. Sweat pours from her body, her skin slick and shiny as her body burns through the massive amount of food she's consumed. Her arms tremble slightly as she raises another bite. Enter the cafe and are instantly drawn to the sight of Rebecca, sprawled in a large, cushioned chair that's nearly engulfed by her expanded frame. She's surrounded by an assortment of treats, a feast of pastries, cakes, and oversized frappuccinos. Her belly stretches out in front of her, spilling into her lap and pressing firmly against the table, while her once athletic body now boasts softer, heavier curves that fill out her clothes to their limit. Her shirt can barely keep up, riding up to reveal the lower curve of her belly, and her pants look ready to burst. She shifts slightly, reaching for a thick slice of cake with a hand that has grown soft, her fingers sinking into the frosting as she brings it to her mouth. Her eyes are half closed, lost in bliss, each bite making her cheeks flush with satisfaction.
I know I should be full by now, but it's just too good to stop. Who needs limits?
Rebecca chuckles, her voice deeper and breathier now, each word punctuated by heavy breaths. She pats her belly with a contented sigh, the gesture causing a faint ripple across her overstuffed middle as she sinks deeper into the chair, her body melting into the plush fabric around her.
You're certainly not holding back, are you, Rebecca? Looks like you've truly embraced the indulgence.
Why would I stop now? It feels amazing. and I deserve every bit of it.
She smirks and picks up another pastry, her gaze dreamy and satisfied. The Rebecca before you now is almost unrecognizable from the disciplined, athletic woman you first met, but she doesn't seem to mind in the slightest. With a final, satisfied sigh, she continues her feast, savoring each decadent bite as though it were her first. You step into the gym and immediately spot Rebecca at the bench press. She's already mid-set, her confidence evident as she grips the barbell, barely moving it despite her boasts. Rebecca flashes a grin your way, her face still bright despite the fact that her body is practically swallowing the bench.
Look at this, I'm so strong now it's like nothing.
But as you approach, it becomes clear that her statement is more bravado than reality. Her enormous belly presses against the bar, making it impossible for her to lower it more than a few inches. Her breasts rest heavily on top of her belly, further limiting her range of motion.
Is she even aware the bar is barely moving?
Her belly spills over the sides of the small bench, and the parts of her thighs and hips that aren't supported hang precariously, almost touching the ground. Her massive body is practically outgrowing the equipment designed for much smaller gym-goers.
Just a few more reps.
Her face flushes as she tries to push through, but the weight barely moves. Eventually, she lowers the bar with a satisfied grunt, completely unaware of how limited her workout actually was. You move closer, offering her a hand. With a great deal of effort, you help her sit up, her belly pushing heavily against your hand as she struggles to lift herself off the bench.
Wow, she's gotten even heavier.
With your help, she finally manages to sit upright, her belly spilling over her thighs and wobbling with each movement. She flashes you a grateful smile, slightly out of breath.
Thanks, wasn't expecting that to be so tough.
Rebecca slowly waddles over to the deadlift station, her belly swaying heavily in front of her. Her massive thighs rub together with each step, and it's clear her gym clothes are struggling to contain her.
Alright, the bench press might be a challenge now, but watch this. I can still deadlift like a pro.
She prepares to lift, gripping the barbell with determination. As she pulls up, the weight barely matters, it's clear that the real challenge is the sheer bulk of her body. Her belly presses hard against her legs, and she huffs with effort as she brings the bar just a few inches off the ground. After a few strained attempts, she drops the bar back down with a triumphant grin.
So easy.
She barely even lifted the bar.
Still, Rebecca looks proud of herself, breathing heavily as she adjusts her too tight gym clothes. Her belly presses forward, and you can see the waistband of her shorts digging into her sides.
Okay, enough gym for today, I'm starving.
She grabs a mass gainer shake and gulps it down on the spot, her belly swelling slightly as she finishes the drink. You suggest heading to W.C. Donald's to finish off her daily calories, and she eagerly agrees. At W.C. Donald's, Rebecca immediately places a massive order, her eyes lighting up as the food starts arriving. Plates of burgers, fries, and milkshakes cover the table, and she wastes no time digging in. Her gym shorts are stretched beyond belief, barely containing her bulging belly as she leans forward to eat. Her stomach presses against the table, and with each bite it grows visibly larger, pressing tighter against her already strained clothes.
This is exactly what I needed.
You urge her to pick up the pace, and Rebecca grins through a mouthful of fries. She begins eating faster, shoveling burgers and fries into her mouth without a second thought.
She's really going for it.
With each bite, her belly grows rounder, pressing harder against the table. Her shorts creak under the strain, and soon, her massive belly is spilling out from under her tight gym top. Rebecca's breathing grows heavier as she continues, but she doesn't stop. Soon, she's finished an entire tray of food, her stomach now audibly sloshing with the sheer volume of her intake.
Oof, I think I overdid it.
Her belly wobbles as she leans back in her chair, her breathing labored. But even though she's clearly full, she grabs another milkshake and slowly starts sipping it. Rebecca leans back, her enormous belly straining against her clothes as she groans in satisfaction. She slowly stands up, her bloated stomach leading the way as she waddles out of W.C. Donald's. Her gym clothes look like they're about to burst, her belly and thighs jiggling with each step. Despite her overstuffed state, she pats her belly with a proud grin.
Thanks for the help today. Guess I'll need to hit the gym harder tomorrow, or maybe just order more food.
You walk out of W.C. Donald's together, her belly sloshing slightly as she chuckles, clearly pleased with how much she managed to eat. Rebecca is now using the biggest cart the store offered, filled nearly to overflowing with high-calorie foods, protein bars, mass gainers, and snacks. Her soft belly pressed comfortably into the handlebar as she navigated the aisles, pausing every now and then to sip from her ever-present weight gain shake. Each step she took sent her plush belly and wide hips swaying, her body absorbing the extra calories with apparent ease.
This shake is so tasty, but I might need a refill soon, and maybe more of those muffins.
Rebecca's shopping cart resembled a mountain of treats, towering with snacks and mass gainers. As she absent-mindedly reached for yet another snack, her belly pressed harder into the cart handle, and she caught herself with a small chuckle, realizing the spectacle she must make. The aisles had become more cramped for her, but she continued with a content expression, clearly relishing each indulgent item she added to the cart. Rebecca sizes up the mountain of food, determination clear in her eyes. With a smirk, she decides not only to finish this meal, but also to push herself even further. She digs into the first burger with vigor, quickly moving on to the next, her appetite spurring her on as her stomach starts to press against her waistband. By the time she reaches the fifth burger, her belly has already rounded out from the first round of food, pushing against the fabric of her shirt as she lets out a quiet groan. But Rebecca isn't one to give up easily. She signals for a second round, her stomach visibly expanding as she reaches for the sixth burger. Halfway through the second set, Rebecca's pace begins to falter. Each bite fills her already stretched belly further, and her breaths come in labored pants. She shifts in her seat, her bloated stomach pressing heavily against her waistband, her shirt straining as she fights to keep going. With her hands resting on her rounded belly, she manages a few more bites of the eighth burger, her resolve wavering as the sheer weight of her stomach starts to pull her down.
All right, I think that's all I've got.
Rebecca leans back with a sigh, cradling her overfull stomach, content with her efforts even if she couldn't quite complete the second round. Her breathing slows as she savors the fullness, her body heavy with satisfaction. Rebecca starts slowly, clearly cautious as her belly already feels stretched.
I don't know how much more I can take, but I've got to try.
Rebecca eats with visible discomfort, her swollen belly pushing outwards, but she's too determined to stop now. Her pace has nearly come to a halt, each bite a struggle as her stomach bulges against her clothes.
I can't believe I'm still eating, it's so much.
Rebecca groans, her bloated stomach looking like it could burst at any moment.
I can't believe I'm still trying to eat, but I have to finish.
Reb approaches the scale with a roll of her shoulders. She's visibly larger now, softer, heavier, but carries it like she owns it. Her leggings are high-waisted and overstretched, biting into her thick waist. She plants both feet on the scale, breasts swaying heavily from the motion. Wait, kg.
And they said bulk season was over.
Her midsection has finally rounded, still strong beneath but undeniably doughy. Her breasts hang like cannonballs, jostling and testing the strength of her top. Her hips are vast, making her upper body look almost narrow by comparison. Her thighs are thick and plush, packed with strength and softness. When she squats to tie her laces, her belly spills slightly into her lap.
Might need a bigger bench at the gym.
The gym hums with activity as you and Rebecca enter, the sound of weights clinking and treadmills whirring filling the air. Rebecca strides in confidently, her massive figure drawing glances from everyone around. Her belly, soft and round, bounces gently with each step, while her wide hips and thick thighs sway with a hypnotic rhythm. Despite her size, there's an undeniable power in her movements, a testament to her time spent building both strength and confidence. As the two of you head toward the weightlifting area, Rebecca's attention is caught by a large poster pinned to the bulletin board. The bold lettering reads, "Annual Sumo Wrestling Tournament, all welcome to compete."
Well, what do we have here?
She steps closer, her hands on her hips, and leans in to read the details. The poster highlights the event's open invitation, encouraging competitors of all sizes to participate. Rebecca's lips curl into a smirk as she straightens up, her gaze sparkling with excitement.
A sumo wrestling tournament. Oh, I'm definitely signing up for this.
Sumo wrestling? Really? That's not exactly in your usual wheelhouse.
Rebecca laughs, the sound rich and deep, her hands moving to rest on the curve of her belly.
Why not? I've got the strength, I've got the size, and it sounds like a blast. Besides, I could use a new challenge.
Her enthusiasm is infectious as she steps back from the board, her large frame casting a shadow over the poster. Her arms flex slightly as she stretches, the motion causing her belly to jiggle and her wide hips to shift.
Imagine it, me dominating the ring. They'll never see it coming.
You do realize it's not just about strength, right? Sumo's all about balance and leverage too.
Rebecca grins, the playful glint in her eyes growing brighter as she folds her arms over her chest.
Oh, I'll figure it out. Trust me, I've got what it takes.
As she speaks, her confidence radiates, filling the gym with an energy that seems to draw attention from everyone around. She glances back at the poster one more time, her lips curling into a determined smile before turning to you.
So you're coming with me, right? I'll need someone in my corner.
Like I'd miss it.
Rebecca's laugh echoes through the gym as she claps you on the shoulder, her strength evident even in the playful gesture. She heads toward the squat rack, her excitement palpable as she begins to talk strategy. Her words come quickly, her hands gesturing animatedly as she outlines her plan to dominate the tournament.
First, I'll focus on my footing. If I can stay grounded, they'll have a hard time moving me, and I'll need to work on my explosive strength. Being quick off the line is key.
Her hands move to her hips as she speaks, her massive frame seeming even larger as she takes a confident stance.
You've got this all figured out already, huh?
Of course, you don't get anywhere without a plan.
Rebecca's determination is contagious, and as she picks up a barbell to begin her workout, you can't help but admire her drive. Each lift showcases her strength, her massive thighs and hips flexing as she powers through each rep. Her belly shifts slightly with each movement, a visual reminder of the power and softness that define her.
This is going to be amazing. I can already see it, me in the ring, all eyes on me.
Her confidence shines through with every word, and as she sets the barbell down, she turns to you with a grin.
Let's make this happen.
You nod, her excitement infectious, and as the two of you finish up at the gym, the anticipation of the tournament lingers in the air. Rebecca's body has reached an unprecedented size, an exaggerated fusion of power and indulgence. Her sheer presence dominates any space she enters, her bulk no longer just an afterthought but an undeniable force, her figure both immense and irresistibly plush. Her breasts, impossibly large, threaten to reach her lower half, only barely held apart by the subtle curve of her round stomach. They spill outward, surging forward with every breath, heavy and overflowing, shifting visibly even with the smallest movement. Each step sends slow motion ripples through the plush spheres, a quaking softness that refuses to stay still. The weight of them is staggering, an inescapable burden that makes every movement feel deliberate, calculated, her upper body a swaying testament to excess. The thighs and quads, once the foundation of her athleticism, have thickened into colossal trunks of strength wrapped in luxurious fat. They are the only part of her frame that still carries echoes of her past, their power now required to support the full, immense weight of her body. Despite their strength, they are buried beneath thick layers of softness, each shift causing them to press and rub together. The friction is ceaseless, a constant, warm reminder of her sheer size, her gait widened permanently to accommodate the plush flesh between her legs. Yoga pants, once meant for agility and movement, are now a battle in restraint. The fabric, stretched beyond reason, clings desperately to the fullness of her hips and thighs, sinking into the soft curves, outlining every swollen inch of her lower half. Waistband digs into the overhang of her belly, the elastic straining audibly with every deep breath. Each motion threatens to expose more skin, the fabric barely holding together, seconds away from surrendering to the sheer girth of her unrelenting expansion.
Honestly, I'm loving how much power I have now. Sure, it's heavier, but it's like my body is transforming into something unstoppable.
Rebecca eyes the food cautiously, her swollen frame shifting heavily as she settles in to eat.
This is going to be a challenge, but I'll do my best.
Rebecca eyes the food cautiously, her swollen frame shifting heavily as she settles in to eat.
This is going to be a challenge, but I'll do my best.
Each bite becomes a challenge, but Rebecca powers through, her focus shifting between the meal and the strain on her visibly distended belly.
This is harder than I thought, but I've got this.
Each bite becomes a challenge, but Rebecca powers through, her focus shifting between the meal and the strain on her visibly distended belly.
This is harder than I thought, but I've got this. Thanks, but I'm absolutely maxed out. I can't fit a single bite more.
Rebecca groans softly as she takes another bite, her bloated stomach taut and straining.
I'm really pushing my limits now. No more, I feel like my stomach is about to pop.
Rebecca's belly is packed to the brim, a massive, swollen sphere of excess that has finally begun to rival even her legendary chest. It surges outward, impossibly taut, stretched so full with food that each breath is a battle against the sheer tightness of her overfed gut. The weight of it is staggering, pressing forward beneath her breasts, forcing them upward, making her entire torso seem larger than life. Even as it dominates her midsection, her bust refuses to be overshadowed, displaced to the sides yet still undeniably massive. Her breasts no longer meet at the center, her belly has forced them apart, reshaping her once familiar proportions. They frame the swollen dome of her gut, emphasizing its size, their exaggerated roundness pushed outward by the fullness below. Her lower body, once built for power, now struggles to balance the overwhelming mass of her front-heavy frame. Every shift of her weight sends her off kilter, her thighs trembling with the effort of keeping her upright, her movements slowed to a careful, deliberate waddle. Yoga pants have been forced down, their waistband completely defeated, now resting low beneath the swell of her belly. With no fabric left to restrain it, her gut expands freely, settling into the open space, demanding nothing less than full, unrestricted room to grow. Even unencumbered, there is no relief. Each motion sends slow, deep ripples through her body, her overstuffed stomach sloshing audibly, a constant, heavy reminder of just how much she has consumed. Every step jostles her, her body shifting in waves of quivering softness. Her hands cradle the packed swell of her belly, fingers pressing into the firm, stretched expanse, seeking comfort, stability, anything to counteract the immense weight pulling her forward. But it is no use. She is simply too full, too heavy, too consumed by her own gluttony. Her breath comes in slow, heavy exhalations, her chest rising and falling with effort, each inhale pressing her already stuffed stomach tighter against the unyielding bulk of her breasts. She should stop. She should slow down, but her glazed expression tells another story. Even now, stuffed beyond reason, body trembling beneath the weight of her indulgence, it is clear, she is still not satisfied. You knee deeper, feeling the packed weight shift beneath her skin. She lets out a satisfied moan.
Okay, yeah, I'll admit it. You're a lifesaver.
Jim buzzes with energy as Rebecca strides in, her massive figure commanding every eye in the room. Her hourglass shape is evident despite her size, her wide hips swaying powerfully with each step and her chest and belly moving in rhythm. Her large and rounded belly sways heavily, soft ripples forming with every motion, while her thick thighs press together with each movement. A makeshift sumo ring has been set up in the center of the gym, with a small crowd gathering to watch the amateur matches. Rebecca scans the area, her confident smirk growing as she locks eyes with her opponent.
This is going to be a piece of cake.
Her voice is full of excitement as she adjusts the straps of her sports bra, which barely contain her immense chest. The tight fabric clings to her curves, emphasizing her hourglass figure, while her leggings stretch over her expansive backside and thick thighs. As she steps into the ring, her opponent comes into view. Her opponent is another massive woman, an extraordinary display of size and power. Her belly hangs low and wide, swaying heavily as she steps into the ring, her hips nearly as broad as the space itself. Her confidence is palpable as her eyes lock onto Rebecca, a silent challenge passing between them. The two women step into the ring, their combined weight making the floor creak audibly. Rebecca plants her feet firmly, her bare toes gripping the mat as her muscles tense. Her opponent does the same, crouching low, her immense belly nearly touching the mat.
All right, let's do this.
Rebecca crouches as well, her thighs spreading slightly as her massive belly brushes against her legs. The tension in the room is palpable as the two women size each other up, their soft yet powerful bodies poised to collide. Referee's signal cuts through the air, and the two women launch forward. Their bodies slam together with a thunderous impact, the soft flesh of their bellies compressing and rippling against each other. Rebecca's chest brushes heavily against her opponent's, the sheer proximity of their immense forms adding an intimate intensity to the clash. Rebecca's strength is evident as she pushes against her opponent, her thick thighs flexing powerfully while her wide hips provide a strong foundation. Her belly, soft yet unyielding, presses against her opponent's in a mesmerizing ripple of motion. Her opponent, however, proves unyielding. The sheer weight and low center of gravity of the other woman's massive frame create an immovable wall. Rebecca pivots gracefully, her agility impressive for her size, but her opponent counters every move, her enormous belly acting as both a barrier and a weapon.
Come on, just move already.
Her voice is strained as she digs her feet into the mat, her flushed face shining with effort. Sweat beads on her forehead as she shifts her weight, her belly swaying heavily as she attempts to overpower her opponent. The crowd cheers loudly as the struggle continues. Rebecca's hands grip her opponent's shoulders, her arms trembling as she pushes with all her might. Their soft curves mold together, their immense forms locked in a battle of strength and endurance. With one powerful shove, Rebecca's opponent shifts her weight, causing Rebecca to stumble. Her thick thighs quiver as she fights to stay upright, but her opponent takes advantage of the moment. With a final push, Rebecca topples backward, landing heavily on the mat. Her belly bounces dramatically, rippling outward as the crowd erupts in a mix of gasps and cheers.
Damn it, I almost had her.
Her voice is low and filled with frustration as she struggles to her feet. Despite the loss, her determination burns bright as she looks back at her opponent, who offers a respectful nod.
You were amazing out there, Rebecca. You gave it everything you had.
She glances at you, her cheeks flushing slightly as she nods, her lips curving into a small smile.
Thanks, I guess I did, huh?
After the match, Rebecca's frustration leads the two of you to W.C. Donald's. Her massive hips sway as she strides in, her belly leading the way with an audible slosh. The two of you order an absurd amount of food, trays piled high with burgers, fries, and milkshakes. Rebecca sits down heavily, her belly pressing against the edge of the table as she grabs her first burger.
If I'm going to win next time, I need to get bigger. Let's do this.
She takes a massive bite, her expression softening with pleasure as the savory flavors hit her. Each bite is deliberate, her hands moving steadily as she works through the mountain of food. Rebecca's belly rounds out further as she eats, the fabric of her top stretching tightly over her expanding form. Her breathing grows heavier, her chest rising and falling with each labored breath, but she doesn't slow down.
More, I need more.
Her voice is firm, though her movements slow slightly as she reaches for another burger. Her hands rest briefly on her belly, which gurgles audibly as she forces down another bite, her cheeks flushed with effort and satisfaction. By the time she finishes, her belly is enormous, sloshing heavily as she leans back with a satisfied sigh. Her thighs spread across the bench, her hips pressing against the sides as she pats her swollen stomach.
All right, next time they're not going to know what hit them.
Her confidence returns as she grins at you, her determination to grow even bigger shining through. Rebecca waddles into the mall, her wide hips and thick thighs swaying with every step. Her massive hourglass figure now draws stares from passers-by, her confident stride unbothered by the attention. She pauses at the entrance of a boutique, the glass doors barely wide enough for her to pass through without turning sideways. Her enormous breasts rise and fall with her heavy breathing, the exertion of walking noticeable as her chest heaves.
Time to see if they have anything in my size.
Inside, Rebecca's figure dominates the cramped aisles. Her thick arms brush against racks of clothes and her wide hips accidentally bump a display, sending a few hangers clattering to the ground. She chuckles softly, bending to pick them up, her plush belly pressing into her thighs as she crouches. The sales associate approaches hesitantly, a tape measure in hand. Rebecca raises her arms, her soft curves stretching the fabric of her top as the associate tries to measure her. The tape isn't long enough to wrap around her expansive hips, and the associate has to awkwardly switch to a longer one.
I told you I'm a bit of a challenge these days.
Rebecca's playful tone doesn't hide her growing pride in her size. As the associate measures her massive bust, Rebecca holds her breasts aloft, their softness overflowing her hands.
Make sure to get the right size. I don't want to burst out of it too quickly.
After a lengthy fitting session, Rebecca emerges with a few outfits in hand, her smug grin showing her satisfaction. She strides out of the store, her heavy hips swaying with every step, the ground beneath her seeming to tremble slightly.
All right, let's do this. Twice the food, twice the gain.
Rebecca sizes up the mountain of burgers, fries, and shakes in front of her with a confident smirk. She digs into the first burger with gusto, her hunger driving her forward as she quickly moves on to the second and third. Her massive body, once lean and athletic, now carries a plush softness that absorbs every calorie. Her belly begins to push out against her waistband as she devours the fourth burger, her breathing heavier but her determination unwavering.
You're crushing it, Rebecca. Keep it up.
This is just the warm-up.
Rebecca wipes her mouth with a napkin and dives into the fifth burger, her cheeks puffing out as she takes large, deliberate bites. Her belly swells further, pressing firmly against the table's edge, her shirt riding up to expose a stretch of taut skin. As she finishes the first challenge, she leans back for a moment, her massive belly heaving as she rubs it gently.
All right, round 2, let's keep this going.
She signals for another tray of food, her confidence still strong despite the evident strain. The server hesitates but complies, bringing over another set of burgers and fries. Rebecca grins and starts on the sixth burger, though her pace has noticeably slowed. By the seventh burger, her breathing becomes labored, each bite pushing her already distended belly further out. The waistband of her pants digs into her skin, and she shifts uncomfortably in her seat, her determination beginning to falter.
You're doing amazing, but don't push yourself too hard.
I've got this, just a little more.
Words are punctuated by soft groans as she forces down another bite. Her belly gurgles audibly, the sound drawing glances from nearby patrons. She picks up the eighth burger with trembling hands, but only manages a few bites before setting it down with a frustrated sigh.
Damn it, I was so close, but I just can't.
Rebecca leans back heavily, her overstuffed belly rising and falling with each labored breath. Her shirt has ridden up completely, exposing the swollen dome of her stomach. She rests her hands on its taut surface, wincing slightly at the pressure.
You did incredible, Rebecca. Nobody else could come this close.
Thanks, I just wish I could have finished. Still, that was one hell of an effort.
She chuckles weakly, her cheeks flushed from both exertion and embarrassment. Despite not finishing, there's a glimmer of pride in her eyes as she looks down at her bloated belly. Rebecca sits at a reinforced booth in the back corner of the cafe, the only seating large enough to accommodate her now massive frame. Her hips spill over the sides of the bench, and her belly, impossibly round and full, presses heavily against the table, forcing it to tilt slightly forward. The table is laden with an array of pastries, towering frappuccinos, and decadent desserts, each a testament to her unrelenting appetite. Her shirt struggles to cover her swollen midsection, the fabric riding up to reveal soft, dimpled flesh that jiggles with every movement.
This chocolate cake is divine. I could eat this all day.
She lifts a massive slice of cake to her lips, her fingers sinking into the frosting as she takes a large bite. Her cheeks puff out as she chews, her eyes fluttering closed in bliss. The motion causes her chest to jiggle slightly, pressing against the edge of the table as she leans in for another bite. Crumbs cascade down her shirt and settle into her cleavage, but Rebecca pays them no mind. Her focus is entirely on the food, each bite bringing a soft moan of satisfaction. Her breathing is heavier now, each exhale a faint reminder of the effort it takes to sustain her increasingly indulgent lifestyle.
Rebecca, you've practically taken over this corner of the cafe. You're really making yourself at home.
Why wouldn't I? This place has the best desserts and I deserve to treat myself. Besides,
She pats her belly, the sound muffled by the thick, plush layer of fat that covers it. The motion sends ripples through her midsection, her smile widening as she feels the soft jiggle beneath her palm.
it's not like I'm going to fit in a regular booth anymore. Might as well enjoy the space I've got.
Words are punctuated by a deep, contented sigh as she reaches for another pastry. The eclair practically disappears in her hand, her thick fingers squeezing out a bit of cream filling as she devours it in 2 bites. Her belly gurgles audibly, the sound drawing a soft chuckle from her.
You've definitely embraced this lifestyle, haven't you?
What's not to love? The food is amazing and honestly, I've never felt more satisfied.
Rebecca leans back, her body sinking heavily into the booth as she rubs slow, lazy circles over her bloated stomach. The table creaks faintly as her belly presses against it, her contented smile never faltering. Despite her obvious fullness, she reaches for a frappuccino, the whipped cream spilling over the edge as she takes a long sip. Her throat bobs as she gulps it down, her eyes fluttering shut in bliss before she sets the cup down with a satisfied sigh.
All right, maybe I overdid it this time, but it was so worth it.
Her belly groans softly, the sound mirrored by a deep, indulgent moan as she shifts in her seat, trying to find a comfortable position. The booth groans under her weight, but Rebecca seems unbothered, her hand continuing to caress her overstuffed stomach.
You've definitely earned a rest after that.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I think I'll just sit here and let it all settle.
Rebecca's voice is soft and breathy, her cheeks flushed as she leans back, letting the sheer weight of her indulgence take over. The sight of her, so utterly at ease with her size and her cravings, is both mesmerizing and undeniably arousing. The sumo arena hums with anticipation, the scent of sweat and competition thick in the air. The wooden floorboards creak under the weight of competitors warming up, but none of them draw quite as much attention as Rebecca. She stands proudly in her training gear, her thick, muscular thighs flexing beneath the heavy wrap of her mawashi. But despite her undeniable bulk, it's clear that she's still carrying too much weight up top, her massive chest dominating her frame, throwing off her balance.
All right, this is it. I've bulked up, trained hard, and now it's time to prove I can go toe-to-toe with the best.
She rolls her shoulders, causing her already massive upper body to wobble slightly. Despite her sheer size, her center of gravity is still too high, making her a prime target for an easy topple. She grits her teeth, aware of the issue but refusing to let it dampen her confidence.
Damn it, I need to be heavier lower down, but I can't exactly shift the weight around.
A thought strikes you, a way to quickly lower her center of gravity. If she's heavier in her belly, it might just be enough to make her more stable. There's only one way to do that before the match, stuffing her to her absolute limits.
Just do it, trust me. You want to win, don't you?
You're really pushing it, but fine, you better know what you're doing.
She huffs, grabbing a handful of rice balls and shoving them into her mouth. But as the minutes pass, her chewing slows, her belly visibly rounding out as she continues. The food keeps coming, each bite adding to the growing swell of her stomach. Her taut abs gradually disappear beneath a thickening layer of fullness, her breath growing heavier as she leans back, adjusting her stance to accommodate the added weight.
Ugh, this is a lot, I can feel it settling, but I can't stop now.
She groans slightly, rolling her shoulders as her body adjusts. Despite the tightness in her gut, her stance feels more stable, her legs spreading slightly to compensate for the added weight below. But there's still more to go. If she's going to be truly immovable, she needs to be filled past her limit.
Come on, just a little more, you're almost there.
HNNNGH, you're gonna make me explode at this rate.
Despite her words, she forces down another few mouthfuls, her belly rounding into her lap, her breathing slower and deeper. By the time she finishes the last bite, Rebecca is stuffed beyond reason, her belly pressing forward heavily, sagging into her lap. Her arms rest atop the swollen curve, her expression a mix of exhaustion and determination.
Oof, I feel like a sumo champion already. I don't think I can even move.
Despite her overstuffed state, when her name is called for the match, she grits her teeth and forces herself up. Her belly wobbles heavily, but her stance is lower, her movements more controlled.
Now go out there and prove all this was worth it.
Damn right I will, no way I'm letting this go to waste.
She stomps toward the ring, her widened frame now truly suited for the match. As she squares off against her opponent, you can already tell, this match is going to be one for the books. The gymnasium hums with quiet anticipation, the sumo ring glowing under the lights like a sacred battleground. The scent of sweat and talc powder lingers in the air, mixing with the heavy silence of the watching crowd. Rebecca steps forward, each footfall sending subtle tremors through the wooden floor. Her thighs, thick and powerful, brush with every step, her belly jostling gently above the knot of her mawashi, still bloated from the pre-match feast. Across from her, her opponent enters with a seismic asterisk thud asterisk, the crowd gasping at the sheer scale of her. She's morbidly obese, practically a walking monument of indulgence. Her belly billows far in front of her, thick folds rolling with each ponderous step, her arms and legs practically engulfed in softness. Her enormous butt sways heavily behind her, each cheek like a shelf of fat jiggling beneath the tension of her stretched belt. Her breasts hang low and heavy atop her gut, glistening with a sheen of oil. The two women meet at the ring center, Rebecca, fit, fat and taut, the challenger, a goddess of immobility and mass. Their eyes lock. There's hunger there, and not just for victory.
You're going to be a lot harder to push. Good, I like a challenge.
The referee raises his hand, then drops it. A boom of flesh against flesh explodes through the gym as the two slam together. Rebecca's thick thighs strain wide for stability, but even her dense belly flattens slightly against the wall of her opponent's colossal gut. The impact shudders through her, her breath catching at the sensation of yielding warmth and impossible softness. Her opponent doesn't move, not even an inch. Instead, her mountainous stomach surges forward, smothering against Rebecca's body, belly to belly, flesh engulfing flesh in a slow, erotic avalanche.
NGH, you think that's enough to knock me down?
Rebecca plants her feet harder, her body flushed with effort and arousal. Her opponent lets out a low, throaty moan, not of pain but pleasure. The gluttonous Titan seems to savor the friction, her breath hitching as Rebecca shoves back. Their bellies compress, billowing outwards under the pressure, wobbling like gelatin against each other. Rebecca's breasts squish upward atop the dome of her belly, sweat beating between her cleavage as her muscles burn with strain.
Your belly's soft, but I can feel the steel under mine, and it's coming for you.
Her opponent leans in again, burying Rebecca under hundreds of pounds of pliant blubber. For a moment, Rebecca is swallowed in the sheer size, her face mashed against a rolling undercurve of belly, the smell of scented oil and sweet breath overwhelming her senses.
Come on, Rebecca. Drown her in that body, show her who's heavier now.
You're gonna regret that encouragement, you know.
Rebecca lets go fully. Her body surges forward, slamming into her opponent with abandon. Her belly, stretched tight and glistening, smears into hers with a asterisk wet slap asterisk, the impact echoing around the gym. Her opponent's footing falters, one thunderous step back then another. With a final grunt, Rebecca throws her full weight forward, breasts bouncing as she slams shoulder first into the woman's center of mass. The behemoth teeters, then tips, a slow-motion collapse of titanic fat crashing backward and out of the ring with a victorious ass. As the referee raises her hand in victory, Rebecca stands heaving in the ring. Her belly heaves with each breath, sweat dripping down her curves, her body a monument to power and excess.
In an NNH, maybe I should have saved a little energy for the celebration. I'm completely breathless.
She turns to you, glowing with exertion, her belly rising and falling like a tide against her stretched mawashi, glistening in the light.
Let's get you something. Indulgent, you've earned it.
Oh, Tilda tempting me already. You know I'm too full to resist a sweet reward.
She rubs her belly slowly, watching you with a half-lidded gaze as she waddles toward the locker room, hips swaying with every heavy, triumphant step. As the lights fade and the crowd begins to disperse, Rebecca wipes the sweat from her brow, smirking with satisfaction. Her thoughts already linger on what she'll feast on next, and how much bigger she'll be when she returns to the ring. Maul seems to shrink around Rebecca as she waddles forward, her immense form spilling across the width of the corridor. Each step sends her mountainously plush hips into an exaggerated sway, her thick, wobbling thighs rubbing together with audible friction beneath layers of taut leggings. Her hourglass figure has swelled to epic proportions, her chest, belly, and hips each commanding their own gravitational pull. Her breasts rest heavily atop her upper belly, each larger than the heads of passers-by who gawk as she passes. She reaches the boutique entrance and pauses. The double doors are too narrow. With an exaggerated pivot and a deep breath, she shuffles sideways, her hips grazing the glass and causing it to rattle in its frame.
Ugh, they need to rethink their definition of accessible.
Once inside, the boutique feels like a dollhouse. Clothing racks tremble as her plush arms brush past them, her belly grazing mannequin stands and displacing entire displays. She knocks a rack clean over with one swing of her hip and chuckles without a hint of shame. A terrified associate appears, tape measure in hand. Rebecca lifts her heavy arms, the act alone sending her upper belly into motion. Her breasts surge upward and outward, testing the limits of her overstretched top. The tape doesn't reach. The associate stammers and swaps to an even longer one, blushing furiously as they try to measure her hips, now so wide they span nearly 2 mannequins' worth of space.
Don't be shy, Han, just wrap it around the widest part, it's all me.
Her voice is teasing, but there's pride in her smirk as her fingers dig gently into the soft shelf of her belly to give the associate room. When it's time to measure her bust, she cups the underside of her breasts, lifting them just enough to make space.
Careful, if I breathe too deep, these girls might snap a hanger.
Eventually, she emerges with several custom-labeled outfits stuffed into extra-large garment bags, one draped over each thick arm. Her stride is slow but confident, her hips swinging like pendulums, her belly wobbling with every step. The tile creaks faintly beneath her weight. Every head turns, but Rebecca, she just smiles. Rebecca is already occupying the entire reinforced booth when you arrive, her immense hips pressed snugly against the sides, squishing out like rising dough. Her belly, impossibly vast, consumes the space between her and the table, pressing so firmly against its edge that it tilts forward slightly. The table groans under the weight of not only her overwhelmed frame, but the sheer amount of food spread across it. Cakes with rich layers, syrup-drenched waffles, chocolate croissants, and 3 venti-sized fraps drowning in whipped cream. Rebecca picks up a slice of triple fudge cake like it's a snack-sized treat. She moans with the first bite, her cheeks bulging, frosting smearing the corners of her lips as her eyes briefly roll in delight.
God, that is stupid good.
Her cleavage, already piled high and stuffed into a too-tight tank top, jiggles as she leans forward for another mouthful. Crumbs tumble between her breasts unnoticed, her focus fixed squarely on the food.
You've officially conquered this booth. Is it still a cafe or your personal banquet hall?
Hey, if they wanted me to stop, they wouldn't feed me like a goddess every time I walk in.
She gives her belly a proud slap. The sound is thick, low, and followed by a visible ripple that bounces her breasts and jiggles down her middle. Rebecca shifts, trying to adjust the swell of her belly beneath the table, but there's simply no room left. She sighs and takes a long sip of a caramel frappuccino, her belly gurgling audibly as more sugar joins the soft, heavy mass within.
Maybe I shouldn't have finished the waffles, but I couldn't leave them lonely.
She laughs breathily, cheeks pink, sweat dotting her brow from the exertion of eating alone. Despite the pressure, despite the creaking booth and the tightness of her clothing, Rebecca snatches one final eclair and moans around it, body visibly shuddering as her hands settle lovingly on her grotesquely full belly.
Okay, now I might actually need to roll home.
Her laughter comes in soft gasps, a mix of euphoria and discomfort, but she doesn't stop rubbing slow, indulgent circles into the curve of her bloated midsection. Rebecca's breath stutters, her fingers gripping your wrist.
Okay, I take back every complaint. This is heaven. Two W.C. Donald's challenges in one sitting. Sounds like a workout to me.
Rebecca eyes the twin towers of greasy glory, 10 burgers, 6 cartons of fries and 4 colossal sodas stacked high before her. The plastic seat beneath her groans as she settles in, her massive thighs spreading across the booth, hips pressing firmly into both sides. Her belly already brushes the table edge before she's even begun, the plush dome rising from her lap, soft and heavy. It quivers slightly as she shifts, tucking a napkin into the collar of her stretched tank top, which clings like shrink wrap to her pillowy frame. She snatches the first burger with deliberate flair and takes a massive bite, her cheeks puffing as her jaw works methodically. The grease glistens on her lips as she chews, then swallows with a guttural sigh.
Let's get thick.
One by one, the burgers disappear first with confident determination, then with heavier breaths. Her fingers glisten with salt and grease as she powers through the first tray of fries, stuffing fistfuls between sips of soda, the carbonation fizzing noisily against her overworked stomach. Her belly bulges visibly now, pressing hard into the underside of the table, lifting slightly with every labored breath. Her shirt creeps up further, exposing pale, taut flesh streaked with subtle stretch marks. Still, Rebecca doesn't pause. She finishes the 5th burger with a satisfied grunt, wiping her lips and gesturing for the second round.
Refill it, all of it.
A second tray slams onto the table. Rebecca exhales hard, her body already flushed and slick with effort, but she tears into burger 6 with trembling hands and a hunger that won't let go. She moans faintly around each bite now, every swallow making her belly throb with pressure. Her heavy chest rises and falls slowly, beads of sweat rolling down the curve of her neckline. By burger 7, her chewing slows to a crawl. Each movement causes her belly to press harder into the table, the wooden edge now leaving a faint indentation in the plush, overwhelmed mass. Her eyes flutter half-closed as she forces down the last bite of the 7th burger, her body practically sagging into the booth. She leans back with a stifled groan, her belly now impossibly distended, round, taut, and visibly twitching with every shaky breath. Her thighs spread wider as she shifts, seeking relief. The waistband of her gym pants has rolled below the swell of her belly, digging into her hips. A soft pop echoes as a side seam finally gives up.
Oops, battle damage.
You're seriously going to attempt more.
MMMPH, I said I was doing too.
She presses both hands against her belly and shoves it slightly upward, gasping at the sheer weight of it. Her fingers dig into her flesh for leverage as she brings the 8th burger to her mouth. Her jaw works slowly, almost trembling with the effort. Every swallow now ripples through her form, her arms shake, her eyes flutter, and her belly gurgles ominously. The sounds of her overeating fill the booth. Heavy breathing, muffled moans, the slosh of soda, and the soft squeak of leather under her spreading mass. She finishes the 8th burger with a whimper and tries to lift the final soda. Her hand slips slightly, wet with condensation, and the straw grazes her lip as she slurps greedily. Her entire body shudders. She winces, groans, and finally sets the soda down.
In an NGH, I can't. I'm gonna pop if I keep going.
Rebecca slumps back with a massive exhale, her belly pressing violently into the underside of the table now, which visibly tilts from the pressure. Her hands rest on top, fingers splayed across the hot, gurgling dome. Her entire body quivers with the aftershock of overexertion. Her cheeks are flushed, her lips still glistening with burger grease and cream.
You almost did it. You were amazing.
Heh, I'm disgusting, and I love it.
Her voice is dazed, almost dreamy. She gives her belly a few slow, indulgent pats, each one met with a squelching churn from within. Her hips are splayed wide across the booth, her belly cresting over her lap like a heavy tide of flesh.
I think I need 30 minutes and maybe a forklift.
Her eyes drift to the one remaining fry carton. She giggles lazily, utterly high on fullness.
I could finish that, or I could just sit here and feel amazing.
She sinks further into the booth, belly rising and falling like a soft mountain, her lips curling into a satisfied, blissed-out smirk. Rebecca approaches the barbell, now raised on blocks to clear her colossal belly. Even reaching for the bar is a challenge. Her stomach presses firmly against her thighs, forcing her into a wide-legged stance that makes her sway slightly as she lowers her arms. Her fingers wrap around the bar, flesh squishing between palm and grip. Her hips press outward with each slight shift of balance, while her chest rests heavily atop her belly dome.
Okay, here we go.
With a deep breath, she lifts. The bar rises just an inch before her arms begin to shake. Her whole body trembles, belly quivering with the strain, and the metal scrapes loudly against the blocks. Sweat begins to pour down her temple, darkening her top beneath her breasts. Her thick arms flex and she lets out a low grunt, teeth clenched.
Up, come on.
The bar rises higher, just past her knees, her thighs flexing as she straightens her posture with visible difficulty. She holds it for a heartbeat before letting it down with a rattling clang. Rebecca staggers back, panting hard, her body heaving with effort. Her belly bounces as she drops onto a padded bench, legs splaying wide to support the weight pressing down on her from every direction.
GHH, just one more rep, one more.
She rises slowly, each breath deliberate, and returns to the bar. The second lift begins, but this time the bar only budges a fraction. Her arms shake, her face reddens, and she lets out a growling exhale. The bar clangs back down as she staggers away, catching herself on the bench again. Her body slumps down, her belly resting atop her thighs, every part of her jiggling slightly with each labored breath.
Okay, two's fine for now.
Despite the failure to finish a third rep, her lips curl into a slow, confident grin.
Okay,
Despite the
sooner or later I'll be lifting all this and more.